Do you remember anything? For instance, Antonia Espinosa. Do you remember anything about the syllable? No, she's not. She cannot speak.
I think that Amaya raised
Her
their
hand.
hand.
Amaya, please
Yes.
go ahead. Yeah, right. I know. I can.
Yes, what I remember is a syllable. It's a small unit of
Excuse me. I couldn't listen to you. It's a unit.
it's a small unit of sound of the word. It's divided by 10.
Yes, exactly. You are right. Somebody else wants to add something? Sebastián, maybe. Claudia. Antonia. No?
The syllable always had vowel sound, and that is the nucleus.
Exactly. A syllable always uh, has a vowel sound, and that corresponds to the nucleus, or it has another name. But we are going to see that in a few minutes more. So, um, the syllable, I found these definitions that I think are very simple to understand. It's a group of letters that have one vowel sound. So we already said that. And a syllable can be a word or a part of a word. Sometimes we have a cluster of letters that have only one vowel sound, and that's going to be a syllable, but also only a word. And sometimes we have longer words with more than one vowel sound, and we are going to have many syllables within a word. Correct? Now I want you to help me. How many syllables are in the following words? Sebastián Rojas, can you help me with the first one, please? How many syllables are in number one?
House, it has one syllable.
One syllable. Okay. Next one, Patricio. How many syllables are in the word that it's present on number two?
Um, Telephone, I think that three.
Three. Okay. The next one, Maria Barrera. How many syllables are in number three?
I think it has two.
Two. Okay. Next one, Claudia Morales. How many syllables are in number five? Are present in number five? Claudia? No? Cristobal Contreras, can you help me with number five, please?
Two syllables.
Two syllables? Okay, let's check. You were right. We have one syllable in house, we have three in telephone, we have two in towel, we have three in, I mean, there's a mistake. There are two in restaurant, and there are two in window. You were correct. So now we have the components of a syllable. And I don't know if you remember this. I think you do because you already mentioned one of them. That was the nucleus. But when we talk about the syllable, we use this symbol called sigma to represent a syllable. So can you help me? I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing at. Do you remember what is the missing word here on this side of the screen? No? Nobody?
The Cobra? Or I don't remember.
It's okay. Well, the first the coda, it's always at the end. If that helps you to remember, the coda, it's always the last word. The first one, however, is the onset, and it's called the onset or the releasing consonant, and it's always at the beginning. The onset is always going to be a consonant sound, and it may be present or it may not be present at the beginning of a syllable, because sometimes a syllable may start with a vowel sound only, so it may not have an onset. Now, do you remember what's on the other side of this diagram?
Rhyme.
The rhyme, perfect. And the rhyme is divided into two elements. Do you remember the first one? You already mentioned this one. Well, the two of them actually.
Yes, the nucleus.
The nucleus, perfect. The nucleus, or it can also have another name, which is the peak, and it's the same. And finally, last but not least, we have the coda, that, like we said, is always at the end. So now, to understand this a little bit better, we have an example with the first word of the previous slide, the words house. So as an onset, we have here a consonant sound. Can maybe Antonia Espinosa? Are you there, Antonia? No, I think she's not. Amaya Fuensalida?
Yes.
Can you help me with this one, please? Which sound would you put as an onset? I'm sorry?
I am not sure. As announced.
Look, here we said house has only one syllable, right?
Yeah.
And we said that the nucleus is always a vowel sound. So anything that's before the vowel sound, it's going to be on the onset. With that being said, what do you think the onset of this word is?
It will be H.
The letter H. That's in this case the sound, right? Then, as a peak or as a nucleus, we always have the vowel sound. What will be the vowel sound in this case? I'm sorry?
Sound
Yeah, but also it's in this case, this is a diphthong. So we have ow, right? And as a coda, we have the last one that it's the sound. Perfect. So that's our tree. Do you all understand this? The trees? It may look like a little bit complicated, but it's very simple. When we have words that contain more than one syllable, we have to separate them into single syllables and do this with every syllable that is present in a word. But it's very simple, like I already said. The peak, it's always going to be the vowel sound, and anything before that is the onset, and everything after that, it's going to belong to the coda. So it's not that complicated. But if you have any questions, please just ask. So now we're going to move on to stress. And can I think Sebastián Rojas, are you there, Sebastián?
Yes.
Can you help me with the first paragraph, please?
Yes. Stress is the emphasis given to certain syllables in a word phrase or sentence. In English, stressed syllables are louder, longer, and higher pitched than unstressed syllables.
Thank you very much. So, with that being said, we can say that when a syllable is perceived as more prominent, it is said to be stressed. By that, we mean that there are some elements that will help us to identify when a syllable is going to be stressed. And those elements are the ones Sebastian already read. And they have to be with the loudness of the syllable. If a syllable is more loud than soft, perhaps even more long than short, and the pitch is more high than low, it is probably that syllable is going to be stressed. These elements can be combined, so maybe we may miss one of them, but they are usually indicators of when a syllable is going to be stressed. And on the other hand, for instance, if the syllable is more low than short, more soft than loud, short than long, or low than high, it is probably to be an unstressed syllable inside a word. So, do you have any questions with this? If you do, please just interrupt me. It's okay. With this being said, any questions? I think the bubble just moved. I want you now to help me with this one. So, Patricio.
Yes.
Can you help me with the first one, please? Where's the stress in word number 1?
I think that is in the first syllable. Simple. I mean, no, it's only one syllable, right? Simple.
Simple. How many vowel sounds are in simple?
Only one, I think.
Only one? Well, it actually has 2 vowel sounds.
Oh, there's a schwa.
There's a schwa there. So that's maybe the reason why you thought there was only one, because it's too lazy to be even noticed. So you were correct. The stress is on the first syllable, simple. We don't say simple, we say simple. So that was correct. Number 2. Maria Barrera?
Yes.
Can you help me with number 2, please? Where's the stress in that one?
I think it's in the first one. And the first syllable.
First. And can you pronounce the word?
Telephone.
Perfect. Telephone. You were correct. Now, Claudia Morales. Are you there, Claudia? Can you speak? Cristóbal Contreras?
Is in the third syllable. Photographic.
Photographic. Well, you are absolutely correct. Here in this case, we have a secondary stress in the first syllable, but the primary stress is in the third syllable, photographic. So that's perfect. Next one, Amaya, number 4. Can you help me with that one?
All right.
I'm sorry, which one?
I guess it's the third syllable is expressed. Restaurant.
The word was restaurant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And which one is in the first one or in the second one?
And the second one.
In the second one. Do you agree? Do you all agree? The rest of
I think it's in the first one.
in the first one. Well, we will see. In this case, yes, it was in the first one. whenever, for instance, this is a personal thing I do, whenever I have a doubt where the stress may be, I pronounce the words where I think the stress is, and if they sound right to me, I will say, "Oh yeah, the stress must be here." Or if they sound like a little bit odd, I will start to wonder where else can the stress go. But I think we're going to see all the rules because sometimes there are some little patterns or indicators that will help us to identify where the stress is. So it's completely okay. But in this case, yes, it was in the first syllable. Thank you, Cristobal, I think was the one who helped. Restaurant. That was the one. And finally, Sebastian, can you help me with the last one, please? Number 5.
I think it is in the second syllable. Window.
Window. Like that?
Yes. Oh no, I think that it's in the first.
It's in the first. It was in the first. It's window. Because otherwise we will say window. So it sounds weird, right? At least for me it sounds a little bit weird. It was in the first one. So now we're going to do a Kahoot activity. And I want you to go to www.kahoot.it. And I am going to share with you in the link, I mean not the link, the code. Just give me a second. I am going to share with you the screen. Can you see the loading? There is a code. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So the code is that one, 1421025. You can choose any nickname as long as it's nothing offensive, please. So we are waiting for players. We have just join. Gallery. We think there's only one person, and please join real Chris. Oh, we have two Chris. Two Chris. Oh, we are going to start now. The first question is, excellent, you all got that one right. The word computer doesn't have 4 syllables, it has only 3. Computer. So you all got that one right. So Chris is on the lead. I'm sorry. Followed by Pato and Real Chris. So the word stray has only one vowel sound, in this case the diphthong A, so you are all right because it only has one syllable. Chris remained on the first place. And again, you all got that one right. Epiphany has 4 syllables. That's correct. Epiphany. Next one. Amaya has a streak with 3 correct answers in a row. Here, the word dynamite may be a little bit tricky because we see a lot of letters that should have a vowel sound, but it only has 3 syllables because we have two diphthongs. We have die and might at the end, so it's only 3 syllables. Die, na, might. So only 3. So that one. And Chris has the highest answer streak of 4. Excellent. The word falling has only 2 syllables. Falling. So next one. Chris. We all love going to the kitchen to open it, but in this case, the word refrigerator only has, not only, it has 5 syllables. Quite a long word, right? Refrigerator. The next ones, I think the last 2 ones are regarding stress, so be prepared. I know it's all, all the last one about syllables. Last one, the last one. 2, 3. Here the word efficiency has 4 syllables, so you were all correct. Now the last ones are regarding stress. So in this case, this question was true. It is the stress is located in the second syllable. This is only a 2-syllable word, and it's not mistake. It is mistake. The stress remains on the root word, that in this case is take, and the prefix, it does not take the primary stress. So the words mistake, not mistake. So it's on the second syllable. The last one is so you're all in university, but the stress of that word, the primary stress, was on the third syllable, university. So now we're going to see the podium. And we have that winner. In third place we have Sevita. In second place we have Chris. And congratulations. So that was the recap for today's class. Teacher Bruno, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Great. I am going to stop sharing my screen. I think now Mr. Bruno is going to continue with the lesson.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Better than before.
Thank you, because I was connected with my cell phone before while you were playing with the Kahoot activity, and now I'm connected with my laptop. So hopefully everything's going to be fine. Good morning, everyone. Congratulations for the activity. It was a great activity from the perspective of a teacher to see that in general many of the concepts are quite clear, and the application of these theory is clear. Now, I mentioned this in a different section. I didn't mean this as a joke, but here comes the boring part of the class. Okay, so I'm in charge of the boring part now, which is an activity. It's kind of fun for me, at least. The activity has to do with lexical stress. Lexical stress is also called word stress in English. Some authors call it word stress because basically we understand that words are made up or composed by syllables. For example, lexical is composed by 3 syllables, right? And we need to decide which one of the 3 is the most prominent one, the most salient one, taking into account the characteristics that Ms. Javiera Cabeza mentioned, that you all know, right? And that's from the perspective of the listener. The listener pays attention and perceives that one of the 3 syllables in lexical is the most prominent one according to, the loudness, according to the pitch, and according to the length. So the listener will perceive one of those syllables to be longer, or the longest in this case, because there are 3, the longest, the loudest, or the highest in terms of pitch. Those 3 characteristics, I would not say they are always present, but at least I would say 2 of them are always present when you're pronouncing words, particularly words that are like 2 or more, that contain 2 or more syllables. Okay, so lexical stress, we're going to consider it as a very important feature in the English language, because it's always present. Once you have two or more syllables, you need to decide which syllable you're going to stress. You need to emphasize one of them. Okay, and according to some authors, stress, word stress or lexical stress, creates more confusion when you are communicating with other speakers than, say, pronouncing one sound incorrectly. It's like, for example, the word democracy. Let's put this in Spanish. The word in Spanish is democracia. Democracia. If a speaker says democracia or democracia, no, democracia, yeah, democracia or democracia, the effect of changing the stress, of shifting this stress from one syllable to another one, is going to have an impact if it happens too many times. The listener will focus on the mistakes, right? And will lose concentration on the important part, which is the message or comprehending the message. So that's why it is, according to some authors, it is most important to take care of the stress in words, which is a suprasegmental feature, right? Then taking care of the pronunciation of the individual sounds, which is a segmental feature, okay? So with this, I mean, probably for some authors, it's not so important if you say E or I or U and U, because some mistakes can be predicted according to the your, I wouldn't say nationality, but I would say according to the first language that you have. If you are a Spanish speaking person, right, as we are, in general, Spanish speakers, right, have a hard time trying to pronounce voiced sounds like z or zh, right, or a schwa. But other speakers, like say for Chinese speakers, they have a hard time trying to pronounce right? So it's hard for them to say rise or rate. So, but lexical stress seems to be a difficulty for speakers of many, many languages. There are some general rules, though, for this quite messy language. I say English is it's sort of a messy language because it takes words from many languages, from French, from Italian, from Spanish. Therefore, sometimes the words are adapted to the local stress, to the English stress. Sometimes they are pronounced in the way the original words were pronounced. Take the word, for example, garage and garage. It's basically the same word, the place where people store or keep their cars, right? But some people say garage, other people say garage. So what's happening is that some people are adapting the word to the English pronunciation, and others are preferring the stress in the original syllable. Okay, so that's why it's important to understand where to place the stress. Now, just to have a common ground, there are some simple rules. Whenever you have two-syllable words, try to choose the first syllable. So, common, nation, open, study, and sorry, and not come on, nation, open, study, and sorry. Okay, because as Javiera, Miss Javiera Cabeza mentioned, a good test or a good tip is pronounce them and shift the stress to a different syllable. And sometimes when you have read a lot, you have heard a lot of in English, it doesn't make sense to you to say nation, okay? You know, nation is what you always hear. So two-syllable words, prefer to stress or to place the primary stress in the first syllable. And when you have when you have three or more syllables in a word, try to count from right to left and you place a stress in the third syllable. In the case of universe, verse, we have 1, 2, and 3, universe. The same with article, article, 1, 2, and 3, and then the third one from right to left is the one where you place the stress. Therefore, we have universe, article, relative, democracy, economy. In the case of democracy and economy, democracy, economy, we have 4 syllables. But anyway, we need to stress the third syllable from right to left. So that's the general rule, right? And in the case of compounds, in general, it's the first one. In the case of compound nouns, such as the examples provided here, sports ground, bathroom, and language teacher, whenever you have these compound nouns that are composed by, obviously, right, 2 nouns, sports and ground, both are nouns, bath, room, and language teacher, choose the first one to stress it, all right? Sports ground, not sports ground. Bathroom, and not bathroom, okay? So that's the situation for most compound nouns. But some compound nouns are said to have double stress, meaning that the stress is distributed equally in both elements. Paper tiger, leather shoes, cotton cloth, bone water seem to have double stress. But in general, most compound nouns, as you can read in number 1, have the following situation. Is the first element the one which is stress. And the exception, because we always get used to the exceptions in English, very few present the second element stressed, such as without, mankind, whatever, myself, and forever. Right? So that's sort of the general rule. Now, some rules that are connected with derivatives, and in case you're not familiar with the concept of derivatives, it's basically you take a word and you attach another word either to the left or to the right. If you attach it to the left, it's called prefix. If you attach it at the end, it's called suffix. Okay? So whenever we have these words that we form, we may change the grammatical category. The grammatical category. We can have a verb and we turn it into a noun, or an adjective and we make it a noun. For example, I don't know why I always think of this word whenever I'm trying to find an example. Deep. Deep, like shallow, deep. Deep is an adjective, right? A deep situation, a deep question. Okay, deep. Deep is an adjective. We use it to qualify something, a noun. Now, if we add the suffix n, deepen, right? Deepen, it becomes a verb just by adding the suffix, which is this small structure attached at the end. Okay? Now, sometimes this suffix may shift the stress from the original syllable, deep, to the next one. In this case, deep and deepen, that's not the case. The stress is placed still in the first syllable, right? In the syllable. But sometimes it's not the case. And this is something that I want you to pay attention to. And in the case of 2 or 3 syllable words, they have a prefix or a suffix. For example, the root here, the root is the word take. And the prefix is miss. So in this case, the word take, when you add this prefix, mistake, the stress remains on the same syllable, right? The same thing with the root fortune, fortune, misfortune. We have the same stress. Carriage, carriage, miscarriage, obstruct, and obtain basically have the same behavior. Okay. So that happens with words which contain 2 or 3 syllables and have a prefix. Now, for the following explanation, because I know you have seen this before, but for this, there's going to be a task that you need to do. Okay, I'm going to give the explanation for this, and then what happens with the task that you're going to perform. That can be individually or in pairs after the break. Okay. All right. I want you to focus on this. The following suffixes. Remember that these structures are attached at the end of the word, at the end of the root, right? For these suffixes, the stress usually falls on the preceding syllable. What does that mean? For example, if you add this at the end, you attach it right there. Court, courteous. The stress will fall in the preceding syllable. Well, court has only one syllable, so there's no way to move it somewhere else. Now, in the case of biography, biography, right? The suffix is this one, right? So the stress goes in the syllable before. In this case, biography. Okay. In the case of this one, editorial, editorial happens the same thing. The stress goes on the preceding syllable. Preceding means the syllable before. Okay, so this is the first case. Words that contain one of these suffixes, and in terms of pronunciation, or stress, the stress goes on the preceding syllable, the syllable before the suffix. Okay, so this is the first case that I want you to pay attention. And I'm going to write a number 5 here to remember how many suffixes you are going to use for the task. Okay, so this is the first case I want you to remember, okay? Because it's going to be important for the task that you're going to perform. The next case, we have more examples here, right? But basically it's the same thing. You're attaching the suffix to the root, and the stress usually falls on the syllable before the suffix. Now, the second case that I want you to pay attention, it's in the first blue box here. Words containing these suffixes do not change their stress placement. If you think about this, forgetful, the root is forget, right? Forget. Stressed goes on the, or falls on the second syllable. Forgetful, forget, forgetful. It's basically the same syllable, which is stressed, which is the most prominent one. Machinery. Machinery comes from the word machine. Machine, machinery, machine, machinery. It's exactly the same syllable, the one stressed. So even if we add any of these suffixes, it is the same syllable, which is the one on which the stress falls, okay? Let's test another one. Brotherhood. Brotherhood comes from brother. That's the root. Brother, brotherhood, brother, brotherhood. So as we can see, it is the first syllable, and it's the same syllable, the one that is the most prominent one of all. Even though we're adding this suffix, the stress does not change its place. Okay? So this is the second case. and I'm going to write number 5. Okay, whenever we're using any of these suffixes, the stress remains on the same syllable. Now, the next case is what happens with these suffixes. Is, et, and esk. Should be a hyphen there, sorry. So whenever we are using these suffixes, the stress is attracted. It's like a magnet, all right? We are attracting the stress. Okay, so there is an interesting attraction from the point of view of pronunciation between stress and these suffixes. They attract each other. Okay, so whenever we think about this, for example, in these following examples, pay becomes payee, payee. Employ becomes employee, employee. Journal, journalese. Journal, first syllable. Journalese, last syllable. Cigar, sorry, cigarette. Cigarette. And in the last one, picture, picturesque. Picture, first syllable, picturesque. Okay, so in the last example, in the last blue box, we are seeing some suffixes that somehow attract the primary stress onto them. Okay, and I'm going to write the same number here, number 5. So just to recap, first blue box, we have the case that whenever you're using these suffixes, the stress is placed on the preceding syllable, the syllable right before the suffix. That's the first case, right? In the second case, whenever we're using any of these suffixes, the stress remains on the same syllable. It does not change. It doesn't shift to any other syllable. And in the last case, whenever we are using these suffixes, the stress is attracted to the suffix. Okay? Now, this is a task for you. I don't know if you're seeing this slide that I have the 3 blue boxes right there with all the suffixes. Are you looking at this right now? Because I think I moved very quickly from one slide to the other.
Yes.
Yes?
I can see it.
Okay. Okay, good. Good. So, for the following task, you need to provide 5 examples from this first box, 5 examples from the second one, and 5 from the last one. What do I mean by that? You need to select 5 suffixes from the first box. For example, I don't know, the last one, this one. I mean, you choose. It's totally up to you. Okay, totally up to you. But you select 5. Okay, then you go online and you try to find one word containing this suffix. For example, for the last one, effective. Effective is a good example. Effect, and we add the suffix effective. Okay, so you need to find 5 words containing one of these suffixes. So you're going to have 5 words for this one. The same thing with the second blue box. You choose 5. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's say develop, 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 and if I make the noun, the abstract noun, I have development, develop, development. Okay, so you need to get 5 words with any of these suffixes. Okay, and for the last blue box, you have to do the same. I know that you have 4 here, but you can repeat 1. Okay, so eventually you will get 15 words. 5 plus 5 plus 5. 15 words, right? That's the first part of the task. The second part of the task is that you need to provide context for the words. That means use them in a sentence. Okay? This is an example. For example, let's suppose that I choose the word, the suffix able, able. So I have 5 words: avoidable, portable, preventable, readable, usable. That's one way to do it. Or choose different ones. Able, et, is, ask. So I have, for example, avoidable, graduate, employee, Portuguese, and burlesque. Okay? So the idea is that you have 5, 5, and 5, 15 words, right? And you get some examples, some sentences, such as there appeared to be evidence of differential treatment of children. So here I have 2 words that contain suffixes, right? The sentences can be original sentences, or if you go online, for example, to the Cambridge Online Dictionary, or any dictionary in general, you find the word, you look up the word, and if you scroll down, you will get some sentences in which you can see the sentences used in context. So what you can do is you can copy and paste those sentences, and you just place at the bottom of the slide the website where you got the information, where you got the sentences. Okay, so the sentences, the context that you're going to share with us, they can be original sentences, your own ones, right? Your own sentences, or they can be from another website. Okay, please, all questions are welcome now about this task that we're going to do after the break, because it's time that we get a break, like a 10-minute break that we usually, or we normally take. Do you have any questions about this specific task?
Yeah, so just to reference, hay que, lo siento, lo preguntaré en español. ¿Hay que hacer las que están marcadas en rojo o podemos elegir las que queramos? ¿Profe? ¿Yo?
Internet connection or connectivity, basically.
No,
Can you repeat?
Yeah, my question was, it can show whatever we like, right? Not only the red picture.
I'm trying very hard, I promise, but I really can get the I think it has to do with my connection.
Yeah,
I can help her. I listen to the question.
Okay, wonderful.
You can choose any of the words. it's not mandatory for you to choose the ones that are in red circles. Actually, you are supposed to choose whatever you want to, whatever suffix you want to work with. So.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you very much, Keira. I couldn't make sense of the question because of the connection, basically. Yeah, this was an example. You can choose any, as Keira mentioned. Any other questions that you might have? This task can be individual or okay. You're going to share this with the rest of gosh. Sorry, internet issues. So you can use any format, a PowerPoint presentation, a Word file, an Excel spreadsheet. You can use a piece of paper, take a picture and share the picture with us. All right, the format, it's totally fine. And when you present your sentences, you can read the sentences aloud yourself, or you can read some of them and then ask other classmates to share the reading aloud with you. Okay, that's totally fine. So you present the sentences and you decide the way you do it, the format, and also if you are interacting with other members of the class, the virtual class, or you read them aloud, only you individually. Okay, so now if you're okay with that, we're going to take a break, a 10-minute break, more or less, right? And then you start working with your task.
All right, teacher.
You need to share the results of your first task. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Goodbye, everyone. See you around.
Teacher,
Yes, sir.
how much time do we have to do the task? I mean, the 10-minute break, or?
Oh, no. That's a break. That's for you to do whatever you want. After the break, you will have between 10 to 15 minutes, up to 15 minutes to work on this activity.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. A break is a break. All right. All righty. Good question. All righty.